Hello guys, back again with some Modern on Budget. This time we're talking about a once meme but now really powerful deck, Hammertime, and it actually also has a companion. So we're going to dive right into this list. As you can see, it is budget, it's 98.50, and we're going to go down this list. So overall, the idea of the deck is to put down really cheap creatures, put down equipment, put it onto the creatures for free, and swing in. So we're going to go through the equipment first, then the creatures, and then other ways we can cheat stuff on the battlefield or make use of what we have. So first up, we have the namesake of the deck, Colossus Hammer. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying for 1 mana. And then the equip is 8. So at first you're like, oh, 1 mana 10/10, oh, that's pretty good. And then 8 mana, you're like, oh, that's shit. And then you think, oh wait, what if we could cheat it onto a creature? Anyway, so this card in here is very good. We have Shadow Spear as another equipment. It gives trample and lifelink, and the lifelink aspect of that is absolutely insane against aggressive decks like Burn, Prowess, and even Death Shadow. And then the trample aspect of that is amazing against decks that just they're going to see your 10/10 and they're going to be like chump block, chump block, chump block. But Shadow Spear gives trample. And then even better, pay 1 mana, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. With a lot of the gods coming out in Kaldheim, that might be more useful than people expect. And also, it's not very popular right now, but it's a very cheap deck, and it's going to be another one of my videos. But Boggles, the creatures have hexproof. And so if you can make them lose hexproof until end of turn, then you can easily just kill them. So what's going to happen is if you go against hexproof, if you go against Boggles, you're going to be bringing in some Path to Exiles from your sideboard, and you're going to be able to kill their Boggle. Anyway, we have Shadow Spear in there for that. It's just amazing, really powerful, really when it was printed, underrated completely. I played this in a control deck with 0 creatures. Next up is Cranial Plating. Gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. And you'll notice that we have a ton of artifacts, including our creatures. We don't have the black mana in this deck because I would have rathered put the money for the deck into the non-land cards of the deck so we can really nail down our 60 and our sideboard. It seems, yeah, no. MTG Goldfish is weird because it says sideboard 14 and then there's the companion off the side. So I keep thinking that I left one out. And I'm like, wait, no, there are 15 cards in the sideboard. Anyway, so we have those 3 equipment. Then we have Welding Jar. Sacrifice it to regenerate target artifact. Now you could replace this with another equipment. I decided I wanted to play this because I didn't want us to be so vulnerable to artifact hate. So that's the reason why it's in here. Also with regenerate, it doesn't actually leave the battlefield, so you don't have to worry about recasting or re-entering or dying or anything like that. Mishra's Bauble is a 0-drop artifact, and so you'll notice that Welding Jar and Mishra's Bauble are going to go towards Cranial Plating. Now, both of these are artifacts that you sacrifice, but if they're on the board, you could do Cranial Plating. Mishra's Bauble says, tap, sacrifice, look at the top card of target player's library, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So if you play this, you can either look at the top card of your opponent's deck or the top card of your deck. If you play a version of this with fetch lands, you can shuffle up your own deck. so you can control your own draws. But you could also just look at your opponent's deck to see what they're playing or what they're drawing. And usually that's what you're going to do, especially in a budget version of the deck. So those are our artifacts. We have Open the Armory, which allows us to really... Oh, I know I missed one over here. Swiftfoot Boots is a one of. Gives Hexproof and Haste. It's very good. But Open the Armory lets us search out those one-ofs as well as Colossus Hammer. It's essentially putting 8 Colossus Hammers in our deck. But Open the Armory is a 2-mana version of Steel Shaper's Gift. And Steel Shaper's Gift will set you back like $80 for a playset, where Open the Armory is $1.80 for the playset. And it's only 1 turn of a delay. And the difference between that is, if you're playing Steel Shaper Gift on turn 1, then you didn't have a hand that was really worth keeping. But there are some really fast things you can do with Steel Shaper's Gift, but Open the Armory is not that big of a setback. Then the other things in the deck are Sigarda's Aid, equipment as though you can cast them as though they have flash, and a 3 of All That Glitters. Now, All That Glitters pumps for artifacts and enchantments you control, not just like equipment or anything. It's another cranial plating, but includes enchantments. So includes Sigarda's Aid, includes itself, and overall just a great card. Now, I've explained the artifacts. I've explained the one of the ways we can cheat out Colossus Hammer is, like, let's say we have Ornithopter out. Swing in, since it has flying, it's unblockable most of the time, and they don't block it. Then you flash in Colossus Hammer, equipping your Ornithopter. Now, your Ornithopter will lose flying, but it's already unblocked, and that's 10 damage right there. Then, I'm just going to go over the creatures now. Memnite is a 0-mana 1/1 artifact. Keep in mind for things like cranial plating and All That Glitters. Ornithopter, a 0/2 flying 0-drop artifact. Same deal. Core Duelist, a 1-drop 1/1, as long as it's equipped, has double strike. Now hear me out. Turn 1, Core Duelist. Turn 2, Sigarda's Aid, attack. It goes unblocked. Play Colossus Hammer, you win the game. Because if it has double strike when it's equipped, and Sigarda's Aid gives flash, and then when an equipment enters equipped, what you can do is you can swing in, and then flash it in, and your Core Duelist becomes an 11/11 double strike. Anyway, that's turn 2, so that's the fastest win you can get in the deck. Next up is Core Outfitter. It is a very good budget option to Pure Steel Paladin, which I will talk about in a moment. Now, Pure Steel Paladin, the reason I'm playing one of is each individual Paladin you add to the deck helps the deck exponentially. But Core Outfitter says when it enters the battlefield, you may attach an equipment you control to target creature. So, you could technically do like Ornithopter or Memnite on turn 1 along with a Colossus Hammer, and then turn 2 do a Core Outfitter, and then attach the hammer to your Ornithopter or Memnite and swing in. It's possible they don't have a creature out, so that's 10 or 11 damage. So it's not a bad option, especially considering the fact that you're playing Loris and could replay Core Outfitter for that Enter the Battlefield ability. Next up is our last creature, Pure Steel Paladin. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield, you can draw a card. In Metalcraft, equipment you control have equipped 0 as long as you have 3 or more artifacts. This is another way we can cheat out Colossus Hammer. Because if we have any of these, like for example, Mishra's Bauble, Ornithopter, Colossus Hammer on turn 1 wouldn't be that odd. And you could delay playing sacrificing Mishra's Bauble for a turn just to get that free equip. Now, So that has Metalcraft. So all those things that synergized with all that glitters and cranial plating now synergize with Pure Steel Paladin. So though Core Outfitter is a very good card, Pure Steel Paladin just is exponentially better. But it's also $12, so we are making the substitute for Core Outfitter, and though it isn't as good, it's still a very good card in the deck. And that is the main deck. We actually have Loris, and if you don't know Loris, I don't know, maybe you aren't familiar with Companion, but it's just so that you can keep playing permanents from your graveyard to the battlefield, and if you have Mishra's Bauble, you can draw cards every turn if you have nothing else to play. For our lands, we have Ardenvale to create creatures in case you don't have any on the board to equip, Plains because that's our color, Secluded Steppe for a bit of utility so that we don't have dead draws in late game. Hopefully it won't get to the late game, but in case. Tormod's Crypt is repeatable Graveyard Hate with Luris, as well as being a 0-drop artifact we can combo out with Paladin or Cranial Plating or all that glitters. Forged Tender is for our red matchups like Prowess or Burn. Path to Exile is for our creature-based matchups, typically going to be paired with Shadow Spear if you're trying to deal with things like Boggles. And now I wouldn't consider Boggles is weird, but I would consider it a creature-based synergy. Pithing Needle is just a Jack of all trades sideboard card. There are a lot of activated abilities in the metagame. Damping Sphere for Tron and Storm, and sometimes Burn. Disenchant for artifacts like Chalice of the Void and Ensnaring Bridge. Now, that is the deck. If you have any questions on how the deck works, please ask below. It's a very cool deck. It's a very fun deck. And it's kind of comical how fast you can win with this deck. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, please let me know below, and I will see you next time.